And once again, I want to say greetings to each and every one of you. Aquaba, and welcome. Welcome to another round of the Conscious Rasta Report here on LIV Radio, LIV TV here on livingintellect.com from 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's 12 noon Eastern time, 5 p.m. GMT, and 8 p.m. East Africa time. We get together with you and we deal with culture, consciousness, historical perspectives, entertainment, economic, education, health, labor, law, politics, religion, family, conflict, future studies, all areas of human interactivity and development. Today's date is Tuesday. It is the 30th day of December 2025 in the Western calendar. Corresponds to the year 6265 in the Canadian calendar, to which we have realigned our cultural clock. Welcome to the 7th millennium. You have found your family in a peaceful place here on LID Radio, LID TV, here on livingintellect.com. And I'm doing the best I can to juggle all of these buttons this morning. And I think we got it all up and running. And one more button to push, and everything is acting sluggish today. Push the button one time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and it doesn't yet respond. Okay, here we are. We are live and direct on your favorite. We aim to be your favorite. We are LIB Radio, LIB TV, and livingintellect.com. Let me tell you what today is, of course, the 10th day of the Koras Ma'at Kwanzaa season. That means today is the day of Nia, purpose, the discovery, activation, and then actualization of our divine purpose. And I hope you have found your divine purpose. You, of course, realize I'm in part of my divine purpose. But my divine purpose is rather broad. Much of it is to be informing our people about things like Kwanzaa, Koras, Ma'at, about ancient Egypt, about ancient Kemet, the values that we have, about today's scholarship. We've got some good scholarship to share with you today. And of course, Tuesday and Monday are devoted to health-related issues. Today's topic is refined sugar, the deadliest drug on the planet by far. We ask the question, is sugar the deadliest drug on the planet? Yeah, it is. Welcome to the Conscious Rasta Report, where today we present scientific proof that sugar is indeed as deadly as we say it is. The refined sugar is the deadliest drug on the planet. Far from harmless, sugar disrupts metabolism, fuels addiction, and triggers withdrawal. Far from harmless, much like cocaine. Its consumption spikes dopamine, creating a fleeting high followed by anxiety and depression. Regular intake accelerates tooth decay, obesity, and chronic diseases, including cancer and cardiovascular disease. With the phrase, quote, "I've got a sweet tooth," unquote, now echoing as a death wish. This episode exposes sugar's toxic grip on our bodies and our mind. So let's go into this statement. There's a contradiction because I put the statement up as a definitive statement that sugar is the most deadly drug on the planet. And AI pushed back. Why would it push back? I suggest it's pushing back because just like pharmaceutical drugs, when you come too hard at pharmaceuticals, AI has a built-in set of instructions to push back and to give credence to pharmaceutical drugs. Well, AI pushed back when I made the statement, sugar is the deadliest drug on the planet. I'm going to prove what I said. For one, sugar is a drug. It's highly refined, just like drugs, highly refined. Bear with me, I'm going to have to clear my throat. You couldn't see my mouth move when I cleared my throat, right? And let's prove what we have to say. First of all, I want to say greetings to my beloved sister for Africa. One is in the house. Hotep, Brother Kiti, and global LIB family. Habari Gani? Nia. Yes, right. What is the word Habari Gani? What's the word? The word for today is Nia. And we welcome you, beloved. Thank you for tuning in today, bright and early. And, oh, let me just get this going. Okay, here we go. Had one more button to push there. And let's go into details about what our research shows. So I asked it to respond to the statement, the most dangerous drug in the world is sugar. And it's talking to me. I'm in various AI search engines, and I even discovered a new one today. So ChatGPT, AI, it's everywhere now. It's ubiquitous, and we're flowing with it. But a reason I use up to 9 different AI search engines and chats and other apps is that they have to conform to me. And if they do not conform to me, I'll make them conform by going to another one. Here we go. A useful response is to agree that added sugar is genuinely harmful at modern intake levels. But AI has a tendency to push back on the, quote, hyperbolic framing, unquote, that is the statement, quote, the most dangerous drug in the world, unquote. Clarify what's meant, it asked me. Point out that the word drug usually refers to substances taken primarily for their pharmacologic effect. Example given, opioids, nicotine, or alcohol. Now, alcohol is classified as a drug, whereas sugar, which alcohol is not classified as a drug in their mind. So we can see a conflict with AI. Whereas sugar is a nutrient that is over-consumed and engineered into processed foods in addictive ways. Next point, note that calling sugar a drug is often rhetorical. It highlights how aggressively it's marketed, how it drives cravings, just like do drugs, just like do alcohol, and how difficult it is to quit ultra-processed, sugar-heavy foods. So I'm sure, my beloved sister Shingai, you agree with me, I hope you do agree, that sugar is indeed a dangerous, very dangerous drug, and we're going to put numbers on the number of deaths annually caused by added sugar. Now, we have to talk about association is not causation. Association is not causation. But when we're talking about well over 1 million deaths annually in the United States alone, then we have to look real closely at those associations. And what I'm saying to you, my audience today, we need to cut it out. We need to stop and not tolerate anybody with these silly statements. I have a sweet tooth, or I'm sugar addicted. No, 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 no. Unless you disagree, I would love to hear. If you do disagree, your thoughts are definitely going to be welcome here on your favorite. We aim to be your favorite. We are LIB Radio, LIB TV, and LivingBlack.com. Please do, everyone listening right now, if you're on Rumble, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, hit the like button. We'd love to hear from you. and love to know that we are in good favors with you today. And that's what we do. So let's share the research. Oh, first of all, let's go to our video. I have this video queued up. This video is up. It says, what would happen if you quit sugar for 7 days? So I'm going to mute my microphone and then I'm going to play the video. Mute.
What if you quit sugar for just 7 days? Here's what really happens. Day 1 to 2, cravings hit hard, headaches, mood swings, and fatigue. Your body's literally going through withdrawal. Day 3 to 4, the fog lifts. Energy becomes more stable. No more 3 p.m. crashes. Day 5, start clearing. Less inflammation, reduced breakouts, and sleep. Most people don't realize they're eating 7 out. Think you can survive 1 week? What if you quit sugar for just 7 days? Here's what really happens. Day 1 to 2.
Wow, my mouse, I'm moving around the screen and it is not responding. So I'm going to lighten up my desktop a little bit and take some things off the desktop. I'm going to clear up memory and make sure that that doesn't happen again. And I'm going to again push this link up for our YouTube family. What would happen if you quit sugar for 7 days? Here's what happens. All right, I think I got my computer lightened up. Let me turn off my email program because it's going to keep searching in the background during the program. So let's go forward, continuing with the research. First, we have to, and AI has to, and again, I would say these revelations put limits on how far we can go with AI, because AI is leading us all into traps. And we've predicted this since my book came out, 3 years ago in 2023, called AI Has a God Complex. I contend that the warnings I predicted in the book are coming true. So AI is leading us into traps. So first of all, we must acknowledge the real harms of so much added sugar to the human diet. You're going to get sugar. You're going to get sugar in fructose. You're going to get it in fruits, vegetables. Vegetables have fructose in them, yes. A bunch of foods have natural sugar. But this drug I'm talking about, highly refined processed sugar, it's problematic. High intake of added sugars, especially from sugar-sweetened beverages, is strongly associated with obesity, type 2 diabetes, fatty liver disease, and cardiovascular disease. Now, if we just added up those deaths alone, association, not causation, but if we add up those deaths alone annually in the U.S., and we separate the people and are able to measure them separately, people who do not consume so much sugar, hyperglycemia, then we can see how we come to this conclusion that sugar is the deadliest drug. Excessive sugar also continues to dental caries, which are cavities, and may increase risk of some cancers, particularly through obesity, chronic inflammation, and insulin resistance. So there we go with the cancers. We've identified about 7 different cancers strongly associated with excessive sugar intake. And one might make the statement that all cancers, once established, are fed by sugar. So one reasonable reply is, quote, "You're right, that added sugar, especially in drinks and ultra-processed foods, is a major driver of chronic diseases and early death in modern societies. So there we go. I was able to convince the AI to accept my statement that sugar is the number one cause, the deadliest drug on the planet. It said, put the risk in context, then reframe the quote, most dangerous drug, unquote, claim. From an individual level toxicity standpoint, substances like opioids, alcohol, sugar, and tobacco, tobacco contains sugar, cause much more acute harm and direct mortality than sugar does. Point two, from a population level, long-term perspective, diets high in added sugar are one of several major lifestyle risks, along with smoking, physical inactivity, and excess alcohol that interact to drive chronic disease rather than a single poison acting in isolation. Yeah, I can accept that. Of course, they keep throwing excess alcohol in here. I contend, and the evidence is here, and we can go to the National Cancer Society, I think it's NCA, National Cancer Institute, and see that it says all alcohol, sugar, raises your risk of developing and advancing cancer. Address the addictive angle. If the statement is about addiction, there is evidence that's highly palatable that sugar-rich foods can engage the brain's reward pathways and drive compulsive overeating in vulnerable people. But whether sugar meets strict criteria for a, quote, drug addiction in humans is debated in the scientific literature. If it's debated in the scientific literature, that means there are many more people who agree with me than what this original response of AI would have. It's being debated, and I would love to be at one of those debates. Drug addiction. Animal studies show drug-like patterns, binging, craving, withdrawal, with intermittent sugar access. Yet human data are more mixed and confounded by combinations of sugar, fat, and food texture in ultra-processed foods. You can say, quote, sugar can absolutely feel addictive and can change reward pathways, but equating it one-to-one with heroin or cocaine is more metaphor than established science. Well, established science is not going to equate sugar with cocaine or heroin because those studies are absolutely forbidden. You can't do those types of studies on humans, but they did them on animals. And when they did them on the animals, they do see the same outcome: addiction, drugs. Maybe I'm arguing the point into the ground, but doggone it, I am bound and determined to demonstrate to my listening audience that AI must be challenged. It must be challenged. Offer a constructive pivot. It's still trying to get this through. Now, this is deep talking to me, and at this particular point, I don't know which AI engine I'm using at this point. Might be Microsoft Pilot, because Pilot does go deep, but I usually use Perplexity, and now Perplexity has a memory of who I am. So we're going back and forward. Offer a constructive pivot. So it's asking me to change the way I'm going to mention this. Finally, steer the discussion toward what actually helps. Point one, emphasize cutting back on added sugars in drinks, such as sodas, cut them out. Energy drinks, never even tried them. Sweetened coffees, would never. Juices, minimalize your juices. And if you're not getting enough benefit from the juice, such as apple juice, you get much more benefit from 8 apples than drinking a glass of apple juice. Same thing with grapes and others. But if you're not getting the direct benefit from doing that much juice, then cut it out. I no longer drink apple juice unless I will heat it up with cinnamon in it, which cinnamon um, counteracts the insulin. And if it's a cold day, I'll drink a warm cup of apple juice, but not that much, about 12 ounces. Emphasize point number 2. Rather than, it says emphasize cutting back on added sugars in drinks, sodas, rather than demonizing every gram of sugar in fruit or whole foods. I don't demonize sugar in fruit or whole foods. And you don't have refined, highly processed sugar in whole foods. Point 2, highlight that sustainable dietary patterns, whole foods, fiber, adequate protein, healthy fats, and essential fatty acids, vitamins, minerals, and lifestyle habits do more for long-term health than focusing on a single villain, even one as problematic as added sugar. And so AI is still trying to hold on to its fundamental point, trying to convince me to go there. But its wording shows already why we're very skeptical about sugar. If you want a compact reply to use in conversation, something like, boom, the following. Sugar, especially in drinks and ultra-processed foods, is a major driver of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease, cardiovascular disease. So that in that sense, it's very dangerous. We're going to add up the deaths. See how very dangerous it is. But calling it the most dangerous drug in the world is rhetorical. It oversimplifies the science and ignores other big drivers of disease like smoking, alcohol, sugar, inactivity, and overall diet quality. I'm still not conceding to AI. I'm going to argue it to my position. Watch. I asked the question, how can one justify the idea that refined white sugar is responsible for deaths of cancer, diabetes, obesity-related diseases, cardiovascular disease, autoimmune, and inflammatory diseases? Well, it reviewed 7 sources to respond. Here's the response I got. Refined white sugar is a primary source of added sugars, contributes to deaths from these diseases through mechanisms like obesity, insulin resistance, inflammation, and metabolic disruption, supported by extensive epidemiological evidence. While not the sole cause, lifestyle, genetics, and overall diet play roles. High intake is a modifiable risk factor strongly linked to excess mortality. I'll repeat, while not the sole cause, lifestyle, genetics, which I dismiss, and overall diet play roles. High intake is a modifiable risk factor strongly linked to excess mortality. Justification relies on cohort studies, meta-analysis, and mechanistic research showing dose-dependent association. And I'll remind you, association is not causation. Obesity and related deaths. High consumption of added sugars, especially from refined sources like white sugar in beverages and processed foods, drives caloric overconsumption and weight gain, leading to obesity-related mortality. A comprehensive review of 73 meta-analyses found added sugar significantly elevate obesity risk, which in turn contributes to premature death via comorbidities. Daily intake equivalent to one sugar-sweetened beverage, about 250 milliliters, raises obesity risk by 12%, amplifying deaths from associated conditions. So now I'm starting to paint the room in which we place this statement. Sugar causes the greatest amount of deaths of them all. It's associated, let me correct myself, it's strongly correlated, associated. And words like comorbidities, obesity, etc., all fit together. Diabetes, mortality. Refined sugar spikes blood glucose and promotes insulin resistance, accelerating type 2 diabetes onset and progression to fatal complications like kidney failure. Studies link high added sugar intake to a 19% higher diabetes risk per daily sweetened beverage, with the NHANES data, and that's a study on diabetes and hypertension, showed doubled cardiovascular and metabolic risks at 25% plus calories from added sugars. This pathway accounts for substantial diabetes, quote, attributable deaths in high consumption populations. And just it's the evidence is everywhere. I'm imagining it in my mind, people consuming these big gulp size, and I don't know if they have these in the UK or other countries, but these big gulp size sodas, it's a death in a bucket. It's death in a bucket. Considering cancer risks, excessive refined sugar fuels cancer via obesity, hyperinsulinemia, and inflammation. Preclinical and epidemiologic studies data show links to breast, colorectal, pancreatic, and other cancers. Prospective cohorts report 18% higher overall cancer risk from sugary beverages and positive associations for esophageal, pleural, and biliary tract cancers with high sucrose intake. Cancer mortality rises, with SSBs tied to obesity-related cancers, independent of other factors in large studies. Cardiovascular disease. Added sugars from refined white sugar elevate triglycerides, blood pressure, and atherosclerosis, increasing heart attack and stroke deaths. And again, of those triglycerides, blood pressure, and atherosclerosis, two of those three are metabolic disorders, increasing heart attack and stroke deaths. Reviews confirm associations with hypertension, another metabolic disease, that's the same one as blood pressure, dyslipidemia, and cardiovascular disease mortality, with risk climbing 1.3 to 2.75 fold at higher intakes. Population data attribute much of this to fructose metabolism in the liver, straining cardiovascular health. Autoimmune and inflammatory diseases. Refined sugar promotes chronic low-grade inflammation via gut dysbiosis, advanced glycation end products, and cytokine release, exacerbating autoimmune conditions like rheumatoid arthritis. High intake correlates with 45 adverse outcomes. High intake correlates with 45 adverse outcomes, including asthma and depression as inflammation proxies. Though direct autoimmune death links are emerging rather than fully causal. Mechanistic studies implicate sugar in non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and systemic inflation, indirectly boosting mortality. So let me add, first of all, um, definitely we need to clip this and share this. I asked AI to create a number of these 45 adverse outcomes that it mentioned that occur because of high intake of refined sugar. To do so, AI responded by reviewing 8 sources and returned the following. High intake of refined sugar, particularly added sugars, is linked to numerous adverse health outcomes through mechanisms like obesity, inflammation, insulin resistance, and metabolic syndrome, as detailed in a major 2023 BMJ, and that's the British Medical Journal, umbrella review of 73 meta-analysis. This review identified 45 significant harmful associations across categories, including endocrine, metabolic, cardiovascular, cancer, and other conditions. Below is a numbered list synthesizing these 45 outcomes, grouped by category for clarity and drawn directly from the study's findings and related summaries. So this list of 45, I'm going to go through and we're going to pull certain points out and give you the associated, not causal, related associated deaths of that category which are linked to sugar. So clip this. Endocrine metabolic outcomes. 18 different disorders and diseases were identified in the meta studies. Obesity in children and obesity in adults, responsible for approximately 280 to 300,000 deaths annually in the United States. This includes body weight increase short-term, body weight increase long-term, changes in body mass index of children, and now that takes us to where this fat is showing up, and that's fat accumulation in the liver. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is responsible for 52,000 deaths in 2023 in the United States, and of current, as many as from 65,000 to 90,000 deaths per year attributable to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Fat accumulation in the muscles. Type 2 diabetes, approximately 95,200 deaths annually in the United States. Autoimmune diabetes, which is type 1 diabetes, attributed to 103,294 deaths in 2021. You have gout, metabolic syndrome, high low density lipoprotein cholesterol is definitely associated with the high amounts of sugar. You have high uric acid levels, and that's gout. Ectopic fatty accumulation, insulin resistance, dyslipidemia. We're talking as a function of cardiovascular diseases. Dyslipidemia would be responsible for 280,000 to 380,000 deaths per year as part of cardiovascular disease. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, we covered that a little bit earlier, all cause mortality increments from sugar-sweetened beverages. And it's hard to tell, it says all cause, but that is one of the 45 identified pathologies in the British Medical Journal. Cardiovascular outcomes, 680,981 deaths in 2023, were due to heart disease. Now, how many of those heart disease deaths were caused by acute inflammation, which is a consequence of consuming so much sugar? Or how many were caused by obesity? Sugar, again. Going forward, coronary heart, that includes coronary heart disease, heart attacks, cardiovascular disease. Cardiovascular disease mortality is another distinct outcome measure from the BMJ studies. Stroke, another measure. High blood pressure attributed to 120,000 deaths per year, and that also includes not just strokes, but renal failure, kidney failure as well. Unhealthy blood pressure levels, atherosclerosis risk, and atherosclerosis, that's your hardened and or clogged arteries. Hypertension, coronary heart disease risk from beverages, cancer outcomes. It listed as many as 7 different cancers and associated deaths in the United States on an annual basis, from 90,000 to 110,000 deaths attributable to sugar consumption. Breast cancer mortality, prostate cancer, pancreatic cancer, liver cancer, and the pancreas is responsible for delivering the insulin that is a direct response to the sugar that we're consuming. Liver cancer, again, associated with the sugar we're consuming. Colorectal cancer via gut disruption. Overall cancer mortality. Depression, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder associated with sugar consumption. Yes, it is, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Now, we covered much of this yesterday. Addiction-like behavior, dental caries, dental erosion, asthma, 3,517 deaths from asthma associated with excess sugar consumption. Bone mineral obesity or density loss, neuropsychiatric conditions, anxiety, depressive behaviors, gut microflora disturbance. And bear with me here, I've got to get the rest of this up on my desktop. What, the computer's frozen. Okay, we're back. Oxidative stress and inflammation are a direct consequence of sugar. Now, we're going to be wrapping it up here real soon, but I didn't calculate, and let me see if I can find it, how many depression deaths per year or suicides might be attributable to excess sugar consumption. You know, we have association and not direct causation. So I'm wondering, should I even calculate this in? How many deaths from depression-related suicide? We know depression is associated with excess sugar consumption. That's one of the pathologies. So how many deaths annually in the U.S. from depression-related suicide? I'm going to add those numbers into my mix, and there's more than 45 now. It's up to 46, 47 depression related suicide, and their number comes to over 49,000 people died by suicide in the U.S., of which 50 to 60% were associated with depression. So it put the depression-related suicide, 49,000 times 50 to 60% would come to anywhere between 24,500 to 29,500 400 deaths annually in the United States from depression-related suicide. And we do know that sugar consumption is a major cause of cancer, of depression. 29 to 24 to 29,000. I'd have to find the median number. That'd be what, 27 or 26,000. Asthma deaths, 3,517. Cancer deaths, 90,000 to 110,000, just from sugar. Hypertension deaths, $120,000 a year. That includes kidney failure. Cardiovascular disease deaths, 681,000 in 2023. Dyslipidemia, as per part of cardiovascular deaths, 280,000 to 380,000. And that's being fat. Type 1 diabetes, the autoimmune disease, 103,000. Type 2 diabetes, 95,200 deaths annually. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, 52,222 in the United States, or currently as many as 65,000 to 90,000. Obesity, 290,000. If you add all of those up and somehow were to correlate high consumption of sugar inside of that, I think this justifies the statement that sugar is the most deadly drug in the world. Now, these deaths I listed today were just of the United States. Let's go forward for Africa 1. I presume the bleaches used to whiten the sugar is not a health product, a healthy product. You're absolutely right. The bleaches used to refine, that's a good question. What is the impact of bleaching? Bleaches used, bear with me, used to create refined white sugar on human mortality. I'm going to go right to it. What is the impact of bleaches used to refine white sugar on human mortality? Let's see what it says. Here's the straight evidence-based answer based on the search results you pulled, and it may surprise you. What surprised me? The impact of bleaches used in refined white sugar on human mortality. Refined white sugar is not bleached with chlorine bleach or other toxic bleaching agents. This is confirmed directly in your search results. White sugar is not bleached. Its whiteness comes from filtration, not chemical bleaching. The refining process uses clarification, evaporation, crystallization, and filtration, not bleach. So the idea that bleach in sugar causes deaths is a myth. What is used in sugar refining is filtered through activated carbon or bone charcoal, to remove the color, not the bleach. Some articles mention chemicals in refining, but these refer to clarifying agents, not bleaching agents. None of these agents remain in meaningful quantities in the final product. So what is the mortality impact of bleaching agents in sugar? There is no measurable mortality impact from bleaching agents in refined sugar because bleaching agents are not used. No epidemiological study, CD report, or toxicology review links sugar refining chemicals to human mortality. It says, but here's the important part. While bleaching agents are not a mortality factor, refined sugar itself is through metabolic disease. Your search results: refined sugar contributes to obesity, diabetes, heart disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and cancer risk. And for all of those, we did list the numbers. Estimated U.S. deaths attributable to sugar-driven metabolic disease, obesity-associated cancers, 90 to 110,000. Type 2 diabetes, 100,000. Cardiovascular diseases, 680,000. Sugar is the major driver via metabolic syndrome. And non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, 65,000 to 90,000. So sugar's mortality impact is massive, but it comes from metabolic overload, not bleaching chemicals. So that's a pretty significant finding there. And I'm going to put that up here. Cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular, and sugar is a major driver of that via metabolic syndrome. I'm just going to copy this whole statement for your benefit. And here I'm going to put up a link to be able to confirm that what I just stated. And that's a real good question. Now I know, now we know that the bleaching process is more about carbon tar filtration. And is sugar bleached to make it white? The truth about white sugar, is it really? Okay, there's a couple of links. I'm going to show, open a new tab. I'm going to open this one in a new tab and grab those links about sure is it really bleach comes from the StreamYard link and for YouTube, for my YouTube family, which is not responding today. I hope you are in the house, and I put it up on YouTube, and I'm also putting it on bear with me. It's over here. This one, and bleach to make it white. Interesting. And we're going to put that link up as well on to that site, and I'm going to put this link up here on YouTube so that our YouTube family can have that. And lastly, I'm going to put both links up on my Facebook page, and I'm going to begin to wrap it up. Thank you for asking, for making that inquiry. I do think it's a legitimate question because I really didn't know the answer to the question myself. Is sugar bleached to make it white? And so as a consequence of that, now we know, and that's why it's so important that we collaborate and cooperate on doing what we do together. It's very, very important. I hope you find this to be interesting today. Let me put up one more thing. I've put this other link, which I just did. And thank you for tuning in today. We are at December 30th, at the end of the month. This has been our fund drive month. Work it out for your generous contribution. Brother, work it out. You are always, always, always on point. And I need to call Brother Work It Out a little bit later today, talk to him about his donation and also some other things that we're collaborating on. Let me just take a moment here and remind everyone listening, your health is your wealth. What did I say? Your health is your wealth. Now, clip this. Your health is your wealth. And we're committed to bringing you the knowledge you need to thrive. This December, as we reflect on another year of exploring wellness breakthroughs, holistic healing practices, and preventive health strategies, such as today's exposure of sugar, we're also asking for your support to keep this vital conversation going. Every episode I produce requires hours of research. That last one took a little bit more than hours. Expert interviews and careful production to ensure you receive adequate, accurate, actionable health information. We've covered everything from nutrition science and mental health to fitness innovations and natural remedies, including, is sugar the deadliest drug on the planet? All without the influence of pharmaceutical sponsors or wellness industry gatekeepers. Your donations directly fund our ability to bring on holistic medicine professionals, wellness experts, and researchers who share cutting-edge information that mainstream media often overlooks. We're not trying to sell you supplements or miracle cures. We're here to empower you with the knowledge that helps you make informed decisions about your well-being. This holiday season, while many of us are thinking about our health goals for the new year and trying to survive the old year, we still haven't exited this death season, which is the winter holiday season. Got 2 more days. Consider investing in the podcast that's invested in you. Whether it's $5, $25, or $50, your contribution ensures that we can continue delivering episodes that challenge conventional thinking, explore alternative approaches, and celebrate the connection between mind, body, and spirit. Think about the value of just one insight that changed your health routine, one expert interview that answered your burning questions, or one episode that motivated you to prioritize self-care. That's worth supporting. Help us to reach our December goal so that we can continue to expand our health coverage, continue to bring on more diverse voices in wellness, and continue being your trusted companion on your health journey. Together, we building a healthier, more informed community, one episode at a time. So I encourage you to go to labradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and look for the donation links. Please do. I'm not too proud to beg, but it is really, really precarious. And the thing is that so many of you do regularly contribute that I do feel a strong obligation to not give it up. Don't give it up. Kitty, don't quit. Don't give it up. However, it is very difficult holding it on to it. If people would buy my books, it used to pay for everything. But people don't buy books anymore. I'm reading this across the board from other authors, all reporting the same thing, that book sales are down very dramatically. And it's getting very serious. For Africa One, she says, thanks for the correcting lesson. Well, I learned as well as you did. And there's a valuable lesson that your question, your prompt gave us all. Now, there are other minerals that are stripped out during the refined white sugar process. And ultimately, we can see that the more you refine it, and I think this is really what your question gets to, the more toxic, the more poisonous it becomes. Because first, they refine out the color, the minerals. If you keep refining sugar, then you start to get beer, alcohol, and it becomes more toxic the more you refine it. So I don't think that your question is that your comment was illegitimate, but I think it does require a much deeper response than what the general expected response will be, is that the bleaches are used to remove the color, therefore the bleaches are toxic. So, I think the question is, your comment was provocative, and that's why your question is best. It's good for LIB radio. Your question is very good because that allows us to stop making statements which can be verified as untrue. So on that note, I didn't even touch my tea today. Oh, that tea is so good. I have one more piece of video that I'm going to be sharing. It's a little under 4 minutes long. And I hope you find this to be very useful. So let's go to the end of today's document, because I had showed a little bit of piece of video earlier. And this piece of video is from Dr. Eric Berg. And let me put this one up. And it's entitled, "The Best Way to Get Off of Sugar." And this one is, how long is it? It's just about 4 minutes long. So, Dr. Eric Berg, I'm going to put you up on the stage right now. Share screen. The Best Way to Get Off Sugar from Dr. Eric Berg. I'm going to mute my microphone, and then I'm going to play this video out to the end of the program. So mute me.
We're going to talk about the best way to get off sugar. Now, the question is, why is it so hard to give up sugar? Well, the simple answer is because you're doing it without your body's help. When you try to give up sugar on top of body cravings, it takes a tremendous amount of willpower and self-discipline. You're completely going uphill. And it's just a matter of time before you start caving in and then going back to sugar. But what if you were completely able to give up your addictions? Sorry, your cravings. Wouldn't that really, what you're doing is you're really doing this one neurochemical for about 9 seconds to 2 minutes. Then it's followed up with this big spike in cortisol. And then you're going to feel stressed. Personally, if I ate, I don't know, about 30 grams of sugar right now, I'd feel like crap. I'm going to feel lethargic for at least 20 to 30 minutes, if not an hour to 2 hours. I just wouldn't feel quite right. I'd start feeling irritable and grouchy. My vision would be off. I would have brain fog. I would have terrible concentration, and I would actually have more sugar cravings. But I think people are used to it, and they really don't even know how good they can feel once they come off sugar. But here's the recommendation on the correct way to get off sugar. Number one, don't do it gradually, but don't postpone the misery. When you do it gradually, you're still having sugar cravings during this process. So some people try to give up their sugar cravings within, 1 to 2 to 3 weeks. During the entire time, they have sugar cravings. I mean, why not just do it within 2 days and you're done? Because once you adapt to ketones, you no longer have cravings. They're gone. And also, there's no such thing as a sugar detox. You're not detoxifying when you're getting off sugar. Toxins are not coming out. Sugar is being burned up. But what you're feeling is this transition period on your brain. Your brain simply just does not have the fuel. It's not toxins. It just doesn't have the fuel because you haven't converted over to ketones quite yet. There's a very simple solution, and that is to start taking ketones in the form of MCT oil. So MCT oil converts quickly to ketones. It feeds your brain. It makes your brain feel happy, and you won't have that bad feeling. But you want to get off sugar very quick. Very simply, start consuming 2 meals, one at lunch and one at dinner, no snacks. And just to keep this simple, just make sure your carbs are less than 30 grams per day, not per meal, but per day. What's going to happen is because you're depriving your body of sugar, your body's going to start converting over to ketosis, and your body's going to start to use this other fuel source. And you're going to start feeling better. But the biggest thing you're going to know is that your hunger is going to go away. Your cravings are going to go away. And it's not going to take a long time to have that happen. You're looking at 2 days. And in the process, you're taking this MCT oil just to make it a lot easier. Anyway, I wanted to create this video on those of you that are still eating sugar despite watching all my videos week after week. So if you're enjoying my content, which I hope you are, and you're applying this knowledge to your health, and you have a success, I would really appreciate you sharing your success story. So click the link down below to my website where you can upload your success story.
All right. That was Dr. Eric Berg, and I think he did a wonderful job. He is definitely a go-to reference for this program, the Conscious Rasta Report, as well as for those of you who listen to us all day long. We are up on younow.com as LIB Radio, or you can actually just go to YouNow, type in my name, Kidi Awadu, and you will come to our page. We're all day long from 7 a.m. until about 11 p.m. Pacific time. That would be 10 a.m. to about 2 a.m. Eastern time. And you can go and you can see us all day long. I welcome you. Go. Make sure you bookmark us when you get there. And if you like today's program, you hit the like button. Let me double check. Make sure everybody hit the like button. I have 2 people hit the like button. Only 2 of us. For Africa 1, that would be you and I. I know you're so consistent. But we do encourage you to stay tuned all day long. Tomorrow, we're going to do another report on what is happening in Africa. It's very, very important that we pay close attention, very close attention to what is happening on our mother continent. And on that note, I think we have come to the end of another program on LIB Radio, LIB TV here on livinginblack.com. I hope we aim to be your favorite. And we're going to do the best we can to be your favorite. And tell your friends to tell their friends that we have our own now. We are livinginblack.com. Peace and prosperity to each and every one of you.